Hello, good evening, students. How are you? Hope all of you are doing well. So today we are going to start our first part of human respiratory system. So let us first of all discuss about what respiration actually means. So in our past class we have discussed about the digestion, how food get digested inside our body. Now the body have accepted the simplest form of food through the process of digestion. This food will go inside each and every cell, and there this food break down into uh, end products like carbon dioxide and water. Plus this food will release some amount of energy, and the process of formation of energy in our body is basically known as respiration. So first of all, it is a universal process, means that it takes place in all living organism. Those who are living have a common process in them said to be as respiration, by which oxidation of food takes place to release energy in form of some molecules, and these molecules are said to be as adenosine triphosphate, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So these molecules will further break down, and their bond contains some amount of energy which is released when the bond will break down by utilize when we are doing some kind of function. These ATP get used up and they'll release some amount of energy. So basically the simple form of chemical reactions which is going inside our all cells, that is respiration. Now basically what is happening, the glucose which came through the process of digestion will get inside our cell, and it combines with 6 molecule of oxygen, and this is occurring inside cell. So basically respiration is a cellular level process. Inside cell it will yield 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water molecule plus 36 ATP molecule, and these ATP are said to be as the energy currency of cell. So basically our every body functions, or 99.9% of every body function is done with the help of utilizing or expenditure of this molecule, that is ATP. One ATP contains 30.5 kilojoule of energy, or in biological terms it contains 7300 calories of energy. And by the breakdown of one glucose molecule, our cell yield 36, or in some book it is written as 38 ATP. So by the breakdown of these molecules, ATP molecule, or by the expenditure of ATP molecules, the function in the cell get performed. Whatever the function it, if let's talk about the for various type of chemical reaction, our body requires some money. These are the money molecules which is to be expenditure in that chemical reaction, and that chemical reaction occurs in our body. Fine. So respiration is a universal process. What is respiration? Basically it is the oxidation of food which helps in releasing energy in our body, and this chemical reaction which is written over here as glucose will combine with 6 oxygen molecule, and inside the cell it will yield carbon dioxide, water molecule, as well as 36 or 38 ATP. So each and every body function is performed by the expenditure of energy, and these energy will get from the process of respiration. Is that clear? Now, in our body, respiration is divided into two major events. One is breathing and another is cellular respiration. So breathing is basically the intake of air and exhalation of air. While cellular respiration, this is further divided into two different reaction. One is aerobic reactions, another is anaerobic reactions. Aerobic reactions are those reactions which takes place in presence of oxygen. So in this reaction, glucose will react with 6 molecule of oxygen and it will give 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water molecule and 36 or 38 ATP. So this is the reaction which is going inside every cells of our body. So this is taking place in every cell of our body except RBCs. Why this reaction do not perform by RBCs? As to perform these reaction, we'll require a cell organelle known as mitochondria, and RBCs are the cell that do not contain any type of mitochondria. While in anaerobic reaction, these are further divided into two different types. In limited supply of oxygen, that means whenever there is a low amount of oxygen in our body, and in absence of oxygen, whenever there is less oxygen or absence of oxygen in our body. So in limited supply of oxygen, this reaction will takes place. The example of this reaction, it takes place in muscle cells. But in our body, this reaction, that is anaerobic reaction in the absence of oxygen, usually not occurs or absent in our body, as without oxygen we'll die. We are not anaerobes, we are aerobic organism, as we are performing this reaction in the presence of oxygen. So this reaction will takes place in some microbes like yeast, lactobacillus, etc. So this reaction occurs in some microbes. Fine. So let us first of all again discuss about the respiration. Respiration is a universal process in which oxidation of food occurs to release energy, and these energy molecules are said to be as ATP. The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. These are the energy currency of cell which is formed inside a cellular organelle known as mitochondria. That's why mitochondria is said to be as powerhouse of cell. One ATP molecule will yield 30.5 kilojoule of energy or 7300 calories of energy. So basically our each and every body function 99.9% are dependent on some energies, and for that function to be performed, our body utilize these ATP molecule. These ATP molecule contain 30.5 kilojoule of energy, and that function will get performed after the utilization of ATP. So 99.9% of the function of our body is dependent upon the ATP molecule. Respiration in humans, it is divided into two parts or two processes. One is breathing, another is cellular respiration. Breathing is intake of air and exhalation of air. On the other hand, cellular respiration, this is further of two different type, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic reaction takes place in presence of oxygen, and the reaction which we have studied previously is the example of aerobic reaction. So this reaction is taking place in all the cells of the body except RBC. The reason is RBC lacks mitochondria, that's why they are unable to perform this reaction. On the other hand, anaerobic reactions are of, or anaerobic cellular respiration are of two different types, in which there is a limited or less amount of oxygen in the body. So whenever there is a less amount of oxygen in our muscle cell, our body will form lactic acid, and due to the accumulation of that lactic acid, these muscle cells start feeling the cramp over there, or a kind of pain which is known as muscle cramp. And in absence of oxygen, our body do not contain this type of reaction, as we are aerobes and will die in the absence of oxygen. So these reactions get performed by some microorganism like yeast and lactobacillus. Yeast is a fungus, lactobacillus is a bacteria. Is that clear? So this is the basic of respiration. So let us understand one by one what is breathing and what is cellular respiration. So first of all, let us understand the difference between breathing and cellular respiration. Breathing and cellular respiration. So breathing is a physical process or physiological process. It involves the mechanics of the body. So any molecule which is taking participate in this physical process, at the end of the reaction will remain like that only. While on the other hand, cellular respiration is a biochemical process. So any molecule which is taking participation in this reaction will get converted into the another form. So it is a type of chemical change and it is a type of physical change. Now, in the process of breathing, organs are involved. So this is an organ level process. While in the process of cellular respiration, cell are involved. So these are the cellular level process. Next thing is breathing occurs only in higher organism, those who contain basically a respiratory system. Only those animals can perform the process of breathing, while cellular respiration is present in all living organism, whether they are plant, whether they are bacteria, whether they are fungus, whether they are animals, whether they are protists. This process is common to all living things. In this process, exchange of gases takes place. So this breathing is further divided into inhalation and exhalation, where we inhale air in and we exhale air out. While on the other hand, in cellular respiration, ATP is formed. So this is the difference between breathing and cellular respiration. This is a physiological process, that is a biochemical process. In this process, organs are involved, so this is an organ level process. In that process, cells are involved, so these are cellular level process. It occurs in higher organism, those who contain a respiratory system. It present in all living organism. In this process, exchange of gases takes place, in which in inhalation we takes air in and in exhalation we take air out, and in this process ATP is formed. Fine. So we are first of all going to study about the process of breathing. So let us understand about the breathing. So I have already told you that this occurs in higher organism. So let us discuss about those organisms in which breathing occurs. Now, to breathe in and breathe out, we'll require some respiratory organs. Now, in organisms like porifera, means sponges, coelenterate means hydra, jellyfish, then your platyhelminths means flatworm. Tapeworm is the example of platyhelminths, and nematyhelminths means roundworm. There are no such special organs for breathing, so the gases usually diffuse inside them through general body surface. So diffusion of gases occurs through body surface. No. In organism like annelids, for a kind of example, earthworm, leeches, Naris. Let me write down the examples of others too. Porifera examples are sponges. There are various type of sponges. Coelenterata example are hydra, jellyfish. Platyhelminths example are tapeworm, liver fluke, etc. And nematyhelminths examples are Ascaris, Wuchereria, etc. In these organisms, there are no specialized breathing organ or respiratory organ. Their body surface, through their body surface, gases will diffuse inside them. What is diffusion? The movement of molecule from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. In annelids like earthworm, leeches, Naris, there is a respiratory organ known as skin, also known as cuticle, moist skin or cuticle, and those organisms which perform such type of respiration is said to be as cutaneous respiration. So if somebody is ask you cutaneous respiration is seen in, the answer is annelids, or if there will be some example in the option, the option must contain any of them. Earthworm have cutaneous respiration, that means respiration or breathing through skin. Leeches have cutaneous respiration, means respiration or breathing through skin or cuticle. Nares have cutaneous respiration, means respiration through skin and cuticle. Then we have the largest phylum of animal kingdom, arthropods, in which we have the organism with 3 pairs of leg known as insects, the organism with 4 pairs of leg known as arachnids, the organism with 5 pairs of leg known as crustaceans. So insects like ant, cockroach, butterflies, honeybees, then termites, cricket, etc. They'll respire through a tube-like structure known as trachea. And these trachea contain some holes. These holes are known as spiracle. So in the option you may find which organism breathe through spiracles or which organism breathe through trachea, and such type of respiration is known as tracheal respiration. Now, arachnids. Arachnids have 4 pairs of leg. For a kind of example, spider, scorpion, these are arachnids, and these have book-shaped lungs. So that's why we call their respiratory organ as book lungs. And crustaceans like crab, prawn, these are 5 pairs of leg. They have book-shaped gills. That's why their respiration or respiratory organ is known as book gills. Fine. So arthropods, insects, breathe through trachea or spiracles. Arachnids like spider and scorpion breathe through book lungs, while crustacean like crab, prawn breathe through book gills. Now, next thing is mollusca, then hemichordates, then cephalocordate, then urochordate. They all have gills, and the respiration through gills is known as branchial respiration. So the members of mollusca like octopus, like squid, like Unio, etc., they all have gills. The member of hemichordate like Balanoglossus, the member of mollusca like octopus, snail, Unio, oyster, mollusca, they all have gills. That and the respiration through gills is said to be as branchial respiration. Is that clear? Now, on the other hand, echinoderms like starfish, sea urchin, sea lily, they have water vascular system. They don't have any specialized organ water will help in respiration, excretion, even in the digestion of these organisms. Is that clear? Oh, I'm sorry. I've forgotten to mention the example of cephalochordate is Amphioxus and urochordate is Salpa dololium. These are the examples of urochordate. And in chordates, the vertebrates, those who have vertebral column, notochord replaced by vertebral column, also known as backbone, like fishes, also known as spices, amphibians, then reptiles, birds, and mammals. So reptiles, birds, and mammals, they breathe through lungs, and their respiration is known as pulmonary respiration. Fishes breathe through gills, and their respiration is known as branchial respiration. While amphibia, they live dual life on land as well as on water. So when they are on land, they'll breathe through lungs and perform pulmonary respiration. But whenever they are on in water, they breathe through skin and perform cutaneous respiration. But the larvae of amphibians have gills and they perform branchial respiration. For a kind of example, there is a very famous amphibian known as frog, and the larva of frog is known as tadpole. So inside tadpoles, gills are the breathing organ, while in adult amphibia like frog, like toad, over land they'll breathe through lungs, and inside water they'll breathe through skin. So these are the respiratory organ in different organism and breathing organism in different organism. So let us once again go through different respiratory organ. So the porifera, the common example of poriferans are sponges, coelenterata, hydra, jellyfish, platyhelminths, tapeworm, liver fluke, nematohelminth, ascaris, vocraria. These are the name of the phylum, and these are the member or the example of these phylum. They don't have any type of special breathing organs, so the gases diffuse through their general body surface, and through this they'll get oxygen, and carbon dioxide will come out of the body. In annelids, this skin, which is also known as cuticle, perform the function of breathing. In arthropods, like insect, there are trachea or spiracles which is performing breathing. In arachnids like spider, scorpion, we have book lungs. In crustacean like crabs and prawns, we have book gills. Then in mollusca like octopus, snail, unio, pila, oyster. In hemichordate like balanoglossus. In cephalochordate like amphioxus. In urochordate like salpa and dololium. We have gills, and Such type of respiration is known as branchial respiration. In echinoderms, we have water vascular system. We don't have any special respiratory organ in them. The example of echinoderms are starfish, sea urchin, sea lily, sea cucumber, etc. In chordates, like vertebrates, these are also chordates. Cephalochordate and urochordate also comes in the class of chordate, but they don't have vertebral column or backbone in them. In chordate, the notochord get replaced by vertebral column, then these animal are said to be as vertebrate. And the example of vertebrate is fishes groups, amphibia, reptile, birds, mammal. Reptile, bird, mammal breathe through lungs, and such type of respiration is known as pulmonary respiration. Fishes, pisces breathe through gills. Such type of respiration is branchial respiration. Amphibia on land breathe through lungs, in water breathe through skin, but the larva of amphibia breathe through gills and their respiration is known as branchial respiration. Is that clear? Is that clear to everyone? No. Let us understand breathing and how this breathing takes place. So breathing simply means air in and air out, and air contain mixture. Air is what? It is a homogeneous mixture of gases. So it will contain oxygen as well as carbon dioxide as well as other gases too, and air out will contain oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. So when we inhale, the amount of oxygen inhaled by humans are 21%, and the amount of carbon dioxide inhaled by humans is 0.03%, which is the amount of oxygen and the amount of carbon dioxide present in our atmosphere. But when we exhale, the amount of oxygen exhaled us by 16.6%, and the amount of carbon dioxide exhaled us by is 4.4%, which is released by our body. So there must be exchange of gases takes place, means some amount of oxygen is taken up by the body and is getting used up in the process of cellular respiration, while the major amount of carbon dioxide which forms during cellular respiration will comes out of the body. So thus how breathing will takes place. In inhaled air we have oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. In exhaled air we have oxygen as well as carbon dioxide as well as the other gases like nitrogen, inert gases, argon, but these gases are not accepted by the body, so the amount you are taking from the atmosphere will not get exchanged inside the body, as we humans cannot accept these gases in our system. And these gases don't have any kind of use in our body system or body functioning. That's why these gases do not take participation in the process of respiration. So only the oxygen and carbon dioxide will get exchanged by the body. Now, when we inhale air, this air have to follow a path, and this path is known as human respiratory system. So when we inhale, the air goes through the opening inside our nose known as nostril. From nostril, this air will reach to nasal chamber where the air get filtered and conditioned. So this is the nostrils and these are the nasal chamber. Now from nasal chamber, this will go to a common passage known as pharynx. Pharynx is the common passage for food pipe as well as windpipe as well as nasal tract. From pharynx, this air will go to larynx, which is known as the voice box of the body, and it contains some muscular flap which is known as vocal cords, and whenever the air from the inside come outside, they vibrate these muscles and make vibrations over there. Thus these vocal cords helps in producing the sound, and this area is known as larynx or voice box. In birds, in spite of larynx, we use another terminology, syrinx. This is known as the voice box of birds. In humans, it is larynx. In birds, it is syrinx. From larynx, the air will go into trachea, which is also known as windpipe. And this trachea on its opening contain a flap like structure. On its opening, it contain a flap like structure, and this flap will prevent the entry of food inside windpipe. And this flap like structure is known as epiglottis. It is made up of cartilage. Flap like structure prevent entry of food inside trachea. So just wait for a moment. So this is the schematic diagram of human respiratory system. These are the nostrils, the external nares. This is the nasal cavity. This area is pharynx. Now over here we have vocal cords. This is the windpipe. Now this windpipe continues and this will further divide into two tubes. These tubes are known as bronchi. The point of division of these trachea is known as hilum. From here, from hilum, this trachea will divided into two further tubes known as bronchi, and these are the things, or these are the tube from where it enters into our lungs. Inside lungs, these bronchi will further divided into secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, then further divided into primary bronchioles, secondary bronchioles, terminal bronchioles, respiratory tree, further divided into many tube-like structure, and at the end they'll form a bulb-like structure which is known as alveoli. And these are the site where the exchange of gases takes place. Alveoli are also said to be as the structural and functional units of our lungs where the exchange of gases takes place. So trachea will further divide it into bronchi. These bronchi will further divide into narrow tubes known as bronchioles. These bronchiole will further divide into primary, secondary, then terminal bronchioles. Then this will form a balloon-like structure. After many divisions, and these balloon-like structure is known as alveoli. Alveoli are the structural and functional units of lungs where exchange of gases takes place. Means the oxygen which is inhaled will provide it to the blood, and the carbon dioxide which is coming from cellular respiration will provide it towards the alveoli, and from there, from blood to alveoli, and from there through exhalation, this carbon dioxide and the remaining oxygen which is not get exchanged by our body will came out of the body. So 16.6% oxygen came out during exhalation. This is during inhalation. During inhalation, 21% oxygen will inhale and 0.03% carbon dioxide will exhale. Inhale. And during exhalation, 16.6% oxygen will inhale. I'm extremely sorry. During inhalation, 21% oxygen will inhale and 0.03% of carbon dioxide we inhale from the atmosphere. Now, during exhalation, 16.6% oxygen will exhale and 4.4% carbon dioxide will exhale out of the body. The remaining oxygen will get exchanged in the site of alveoli. Fine. So this is how the human respiratory system looks like. This is the schematic diagram of human respiratory system. Fine. So it is start from nostril. From here, air will enter into nasal cavity. From nasal cavity, air will go into the pharynx, the common passage. Now here we have voice box, vocal cords, voice box. This area is known as larynx. This is our windpipe, which is known as trachea. Trachea will further divided into bronchi. The side, the point where these trachea divide is said to be as hilum. Hilum are the side, place from where this trachea will divide and enter into our lungs. This bronchi will further divided into bronchioles. These bronchioles will further divided into primary, secondary, tertiary and terminal bronchiole, which forms a tree-like structure. These trees are known as respiratory tree, and these tree will terminate into a balloon-like structure. These balloon-like structure is known as alveoli, and alveoli are the site where the exchange of gases takes place. Is that clear? Now, next thing is mechanism. Before studying mechanism of breathing, let us understand about a law. Now, there is a law in chemistry known as Boyle's law. Now, this law states that at constant temperature, the volume of a gas is inversely proportional to pressure. So at constant temperature, at constant T, the volume is inversely proportional to 1 upon P. So this is the law of chemistry known as Boyle's law. If you increase the volume, the pressure will decrease. If you increase the pressure, the volume will decrease at constant temperature. And the mechanism of breathing works on Boyle's law of gases. So the mechanism of breathing works on the Boyle's law of gases. Now, how this mechanism will takes place, we are going to discuss this in next class of respiration. So tomorrow we are going to continue the next part of respiration. There is some tragedy happens in my home due to which my mind is not stable. That's why I have committed many mistakes today. My mind was not here. I am extremely sorry for that. So tomorrow we are going to complete this topic. So make sure you'll revise it, and if you are not able to understand any part of it, please let me know, so I'll clear your doubt. Fine. So this is your general law of breathing. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about how this breathing takes place and how our body performs cellular respiration. So we'll meet tomorrow. So till then, have a nice day. Bye bye. Good day. Take care. Thank you.